You're listening to Convenience Matters, brought to you by NACS. We'll talk about what we see at stores and what the future may hold for our industry.
Spirit-based ready-to-drink cocktails have exploded in popularity over the last few years. However, due to outdated laws, convenience stores in many states are banned from selling these products. In some states like Texas, retailers are fighting to change this, beginning with how these products are classified under current laws. That's a big topic today, and we're going to dive in to see what is going on in Texas, how that applies to not only stores in Texas, but stores throughout the country as this issue continues. Today on Convenience Matters, we're joined by two guests who will dive into the RTD cocktails fuels accessibility fight. First, we have Paul Hardin, who is president and CEO of the Texas Food and Fuel Association, and Chris Swanger, who is president and CEO of the Distilled Spirits Council of the United States, otherwise known as DISCUS. So thank you both for joining us today. And we'll start out with you, Paul. If you could just basically set up what's going on in Texas, and why does this matter to your members, and why might this matter to convenience stores across the country?
Jeff, thanks for having me. I really appreciate the time. We've noticed how the spritzer market or the seltzer market actually exploded, and what we're seeing is the RTD or the spirit-based beverage market is kind of mimicking that. And it's projected, even by the end of this year, which is coming up very quickly here, to be a $2 billion market. And basically, we just want our folks in Texas to be able to sell those products legally alongside beer, wine. Right now, we can legally sell up to a 17% ABV product in a convenience store in the state of Texas. One thing, kind of misconception right out of the box, is a lot of folks think that these RTDs, spirit-based beverages, are extremely high ABV content. The most popular one, and I hope it's okay to say a name, but the most popular one right now is High Noon, as an example. And that's about a 4.5 ABV. Compare that to a Bud Light at about 4.2% ABV. So we don't see any barriers other than the opposition, who you can imagine would be the liquor store, package stores in the state, and also the beer wholesalers and the beer manufacturers. They're opposed to it. They don't want to lose shelf space. We get it. Other than that, there's really absolutely no reason that we could not sell this product legally, and we're looking to change that here in the state of Texas in our upcoming legislative session.
Yeah, and when you look at the average alcohol volume, I like IPAs. They're at 6%, 7%. If they double IPA, you're looking at significantly more than that. But yeah, the High Noon, I've seen them in the liquor stores, but obviously there's some issues with getting this product in convenience stores. So you are working with DISCUS to see this through now. Chris, how did you get involved in this discussion? Was this something that your organization reached out to Paul, or vice versa? Or how did you guys find each other to work through this issue?
Yeah, thank you, Jeff, and thank you for having me. It is, let me just say this on the outset, it's a pure privilege. I love convenience stores. Personally, every day, it makes me happy. What convenience stores do, obviously convenience does matters, but I go in a convenience store every day to go get treats, whether it's Milk Duds or Ho-Hos or hopefully spirits-based RTDs as well. And I just love them personally, so it is a privilege for me to be on. Lyle Beckwith is a longtime buddy. I'm based here in D.C., and I've always been a big fan of the National Association of Convenience Stores, obviously. And this is a big priority for the Distilled Spirits Council. So maybe about 9 months ago, I reached out to Lyle initially to see if there's ways we could provide some data and work with NACS and so forth. And lo and behold, I'm a Texan too, by the way. I'm from Abilene, Texas, and I got connected with Paul Hardin, and we are really, really excited about the emerging opportunity. And I can just tell you, I mean, the consumer interest for spirits-based cocktails, low ABV cocktails is off the charts. It's the fastest growing spirits category, number one. The consumers love the authenticity and the genuine taste of spirits-based cocktails, whether it's made from vodka or tequila or you name it. And it's just an exciting time. And the opportunity is, of course, always being guided by responsibility. And I know our great convenience stores are on point with that, is to make sure consumers get access to these great products.
Texas is home to 1/10 of all convenience stores in the country. So, Paul, when we're talking about something that is a $2 billion a year category, that's a big potential category for convenience stores. How is the industry looking to position this in talking to the legislature as it convenes in January? What are the steps that you're doing that your members need to know about, and then maybe what is the playbook for other like associations?
Jeff, this is actually our number one issue for the association in the upcoming legislative session. We have kind of 4 main priority goals, and this is literally absolutely number one for us. I'll jump real quick back to just saying that finding Discus and being in contact with them was kind of a godsend. They have been so helpful in consumer research, and I know you'll probably talk about that. And just a huge resource on a lot of data that we need to gather and information that we need to present to the legislature. So we're grateful for that. We've also partnered with a lot of the larger chain groups in Texas that have their own lobby. We started out this battle with 5 lobbyists on our end, including staff in our contract lobby. And the opposition had 27 contract and staff lobbyists between the 2 organizations. So we've been able, with Discus and other larger chains, to be able to up that. We're around 17 right now on our side to help with that fight. One of the big factors and selling points is distribution. Right now, there's about 3,000 outlets where a high noon spirit-based beverage could be sold in the state of Texas. You mentioned Texas has 1/10 of all C-stores. You add that with grocery stores and other outlets that we're putting in here to distribute this product, and that takes it to 30,000. So we're, looking at 10 times the distribution of this product, and there are a lot of people out there that are excited about that. Our playbook is very simple. We started out with about a 28, 29-page bill wrapped around this to sell this product in the state of Texas. And we kind of went, wait a minute, this is not going to fly. The liquor and beer wholesalers in the state of Texas are a very powerful group, honestly. It's going to take simplicity. So we hacked it down to a page and a half, literally just defined what we call it spirit cooler in statute. We have a bill written already, and define a spirit cooler and who can distribute those. That doesn't change at all. The big rumor that the opposition's running around the Capitol and with legislators with is that it's going to change tax laws. Chris will talk about that with other states, but in Texas, we don't want to change the tax on spirits-based cocktails or any other spirits product whatsoever. We're not changing the distribution of it, anything whatsoever. We're simply giving consumers a choice and allowing convenience stores to be able to sell this product, which again is on average 5 ABV, comparable to almost any regular beer sold in convenience stores, which again we can sell up to 17%. As far as other states, it can get complicated with liquor laws, beer laws, and all of that. I'm counting on our simplicity to work, and maybe that's the advice I would tell others is, the KISS principle, keep it simple, stupid, and just go in with, a lot of people want to start with a larger bill and haggle their way down. We decided to go the opposite and start with just, this is all we want to do. We want to sell these products, and we don't want to change anything around tax or distribution or anything else. just give us the right to sell this product. And consumers are shown they want this product in C-stores and grocery stores, and that's what we aim to do.
Yeah, when you first mentioned 28-page bill, you also see these press stunts when on Capitol Hill or something like that, and they bring out boxes of legislation. And I didn't have time to read that 5,000 word or 5,000 page bill or something like that. And I thought 28 pages, that's kind of moderate, but page and a half, I like that. One sheet of paper, double-sided. Very few people can say I didn't have a chance to read that bill.
Exactly.
And I think it also really states what you are for, and by being so clear, you also allow the opposition or prevent the opposition from taking something that may appear nebulous and running with it in a way that's essentially a scare tactic.
That's absolutely correct. That was kind of the goal with the brevity, is to not give them any outlets to run around and say, see, it does this. No, actually, here's the bill, sir, madam. It clearly just says this is a spirit-based cooler, and we're modifying the permits for convenience stores, grocery stores, and wine to be able to sell this. It's that simple, and we're pretty proud of that. So it's now just squashing the rumors of what the opposition says they think it does.
And Chris, I think what this does is it also acknowledges the tremendous changes that are happening in how do we consume beverages? How do we consume snacks? We had a podcast maybe more than a year ago where somebody said, I believe it's true because it was said, that hard seltzer sales now are more than vodka sales in this country. And when you look at the changing landscape, I'm old enough to remember the wine coolers, and those were big in the 80s, Bartles and James, et cetera. But the change in how things are now with the spirit coolers, with hard seltzer, with hard soda and root beer, has been extraordinary in terms of what people are consuming and who's consuming them too. You see a lot more in the way of in the olden days, you might have seen men tend to drink beer, women tend to drink wine. Oversimplification, but with the spirit-based cocktails, you're seeing much more where you can get that, and everybody is more happy. Have you seen this type of legislation? I assume is also a reaction to the massive changes that are happening in not only the products offered, but what people want.
Absolutely. And thanks to Paul and TFFA's leadership, the simplicity of the bill. I mean, this legislation in Texas is first and foremost consumer-led, and then secondly, small business-led. And it will drive traffic and profitability to those great convenience stores all around Texas. And I've been to many of them. This legislation can generate up to 110 to 160 million in new tax revenue over the next 3 to 5 years to the great Lone Star State. And why? Because the consumers are gravitating to authenticity and great taste. And I think and hope the great legislature in Texas will recognize that. And, we're on point. Recently we did a national survey, and 86% of consumers and non-consumers agree that low alcohol, spirits-based ready-to-drink products should be sold where other ready-to-drink are available for purchase, and that's in Texas convenience stores. 55% of the respondents prefer spirits-based beverages versus malt and wine. And that's all due respect to our malt and wine partners. But why? Because of flavor and taste, and it's made with real spirits. So this is a great piece of legislation. It's simple, and the collaboration and partnership between Discus and TFFA is just really, really exciting. If I can make a plug too, in partnership with TFFA and Paul and Matt, his lead lobbyist. We're using a grassroots platform in Texas, but it can also be used nationally, and it's called Spirits United, www.spiritsunited.org. And that allows consumers and employees of all the great convenience stores in the Lone Star State to get engaged and active, making sure everybody's voice is heard through the legislative process. Why this is just sound public policy and just giving consumers what they want and what they're looking for. And it's going to drive traffic into the convenience stores, and hopefully that's going to drive profitability for the convenience stores as well.
I think another component is also as our industry over the last couple decades has really changed the dynamic of food service in our industry, where it might be more likely that you're going to get something that's under a heating lamp or something like that, to now gourmet food. And when you're getting gourmet food and taking it home, why not get what you want to drink when you're picking up something, bringing it home, having a nice meal on. The times have changed so much that people will go pick up food from the gas station, convenience store, go home and celebrate that. And why shouldn't you have the type of beverage that you want in the one-stop shopping?
Jeff, if I may insert, if you don't mind,
Sure.
High Noon is off the charts, and it is a great, great tasting spirits-based ready to drink, low alcohol, just as Paul has illustrated. You've got Jack Daniels ready to drink, Jim Beam ready to drink, Bacardi ready to drink, Absolute grapefruit Paloma. Svedka ready to drink. It goes on and on. Old Smoky Moonshine ready to drink. And that gets into the authenticity and the excitement for the category. And there's really no ceiling for the overall spirits-based ready to drink category. And that's what's so exciting about it.
And Paul, one of our at NACS in lobbying, one of the main things that we always reference is the level playing field. All we want is a level playing field to compete, and it sounds like there are channels that have a competitive advantage, and the hardest thing to overcome when they have that competitive advantage is they want to keep that. So you have all these things go out there that may appeal towards emotions. And if you can get people to question something, well, then they're not going to do something. And if you can just play out the clock, you win. And that sometimes is a strategy in keeping that unlevel playing field. I remember a couple of years ago when Georgia was going through trying to have Sunday beer sales. And Jim Tudor at the time was the GAC's leader, said, one of the most effective messages he had was, okay, here it is on Sundays. Do you want folks who are passionate about NASCAR being able to go to their favorite convenience store and pick up a warm 6-pack and take it home and enjoy the NASCAR race or the football game? Or do you want them sitting on a bar stool for 3 hours because they can't get something to bring home? And he said, that kind of opened the thinking where, it is a positive when you look at all these elements. Are there any kind of messages, Paul, that you've seen that have worked particularly well in terms of stories that help overcome some of these negative perceptions that may be passed along by those who don't want change?
Absolutely. Chris mentioned this is good for small business. I mean, here we are with you guys, NACS. You provide the statistics, and I think it's roughly 60 or 62% of all convenience stores in the country are mom and pop independent. So I think Texas has always prided itself on being pro small biz, pro business, and then also pro consumer choice when it comes to a lot of these things. So that's kind of our messaging to our legislature is exactly that. right now, and Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, it's either 25 or 27 other states where you can sell these products along with beer, wine, et cetera, in a convenience store. So we're not trying to be the first to do this here. This is Texas. We're supposed to be the leaders in something like this. And here we are already halfway through all of the states being able to do what we're trying to do. So it's, again, pro-business, pro-small business specifically, and then consumer choice. That's going to be our hammer home message. And the fact that it literally changes nothing else in the state laws other than C-stores selling this product, which are equivalent to a Bud Light. Also clarification, we have no intentions of selling a full handle of Jack Daniels in a convenience store. I mean, that's not our end goal, not 2 years down the road, 4 year, anything like that. If you look at the average footprint of a mom and pop or independent C-store in the state, and even some larger chains, you just don't have the room to add a full-on liquor store. You almost have to build it next door, et cetera. So that's another, camel's nose under the tent that the opposition's running around saying this is their step. They want to do this, and that's not our end game and not our goal. So,
also with thinking about the playbook in how this gets done, I imagine that when there's a partnership like this with Discus and with Texas Food and Fuel, it is way more powerful. And then you add more into that, and you start to see, if you're a legislator, that hey, there's multiple groups here that are looking for something, and we've worked with them in the past. They're very reasonable. And then you have groups over here that are essentially saying, I want my advantage, and I want to keep my advantage. And I don't want a level playing field until I want a level playing field. So I imagine, Chris, that this conversation also is much easier when you are. This is TFFA's top issue for you also to say, hey, you know what? We're with them on this too. This is an important issue for us, and you're more likely to get these meetings and get folks to understand or at least listen to your side.
100%. And look, I mean, we love our great Texas retailers that provide consumers all around the state great choices for spirits-based products. What's unique about this opportunity is, and I believe, look, competition has a tendency to drive everything, and competitive advantage, unfortunately. And look, some Texas convenience stores aren't even set up or built to have a cold box to go in and get that Jack Daniels ready to drink, or the Jim Beam, or the High Noon, right? And that's what's precious about Texas-based convenience stores. It's got the space. We have no interest in selling full-strength spirits in convenience stores. We just want to make sure that these spirits-based RTDs have access, and they have the same amount of alcohol as any other beverage alcohol product that is allowed to be sold in Texas convenience stores. So there is no public policy rationale that would suggest this would not be appropriate. And I would even argue when spirits-based ready-to-drink products are in Texas convenience stores, it's going to drive more traffic to Texas retailers too, because those consumers are going to fall in love with the taste of a Jack Daniels ready to drink, or Jim Beam, or a High Noon, and they'll ultimately also visit their Texas retailer to go buy a great bottle of Jack Daniels or Bacardi or what have you. So this is a win-win piece of legislation for everybody, and we're going to do our very, very best to make sure legislators understand that this is consumer-led and small business-led.
So as we look at the new legislative session, this is the number one issue. And Paul, I know with convenience stores, how many issues do we have? We have lots of issues because, I remember you mentioned, Chris had mentioned Lyle Beckwith earlier on our GR team. He said, I remember years ago, Congressman said, what issues are you involved in? And Lyle said, I would argue everything except for national defense, but I could even make an argument for that because those stores on bases compete with ours. But I mean, literally, we are involved in every issue. We are in every community. We sell all these products and make a difference. So, all these issues to have this at number one in the legislative session says how significant this is to your members. What, Paul, is the next steps? The legislature convenes in January. How might this play out in 2023?
Well, Jeff, we've been actually working on this for almost a year already. Next steps, we obviously have a bill draft at this point. It's in Ledge Council now, getting roughed out. We actually have a House sponsor. I can't name that individual yet, but we're proud to say that that's going to be someone that's going to help our fight, help our cause dramatically. And then we're working on a Senate sponsor as we speak. Hopefully, again, that individual will be a key pin in all of this to help us achieve this goal. A lot of people going in would say this is maybe a 2-session issue, possibly even 3. We feel that timing of this, with the product exploding the way it is, this has to be done this session, or we're kind of miss the boat, if you will. So it's an all hands on deck. The association is definitely throwing some funds at it. We'll have a GoFundMe link later if you would like to contribute. I'm just kidding on that. But it's all hands on deck, and we are really pushing this. As soon as committees are announced, that's another major issue that we're waiting on, or information that we're waiting on. Those are typically assigned in early to mid-February. Session will kick off around mid-January, and then the real business starts being accomplished after committee chairs and committee members are appointed mid-Feb. So by the end of February, we should be full steam ahead, trying to get our committee hearings, get it through calendars, get it through all the necessary readings, and hopefully our great governor will put his stamp of approval on it. Again, he's very pro-small business, pro-choice, and Chris mentioned it earlier, and, we're all about competition. That's what, convenience stores specifically are built on. I mean, how many other businesses are catty corner, as we say, from each other with a giant sign that indicates what price your product is? Mm-hmm. And there's no other industry like it. And I think our state understands that. We're a very oil, gas heavy state. And our leadership understands that and wants to do what they can to help the small biz and convenience store, grocery store industry in the state of Texas. So we're excited about it. If all goes well, it'll go into effect September 1 of 2023, and consumers will be able to purchase that even on Sundays. Mm-hmm. Even though liquor stores will be closed on Sundays, we'll be able to sell those, and you can get them from game day or NASCAR or whatever. We also helped change the law last session. You couldn't purchase any alcohol before noon at a convenience store, grocery store, and that was moved back to 10 a.m. So we're also proud of that as well.
Sounds like you've had some nice successes. And of course, if you'd like to follow the progress of what's going on with this, the TFFA website is tffa.com. And Chris, your website is distilled. Ooh, easy for me to say, but not. distilledspirits.org. And Chris, I'll give you last word. You had mentioned that there's another website for Spirits United that folks can see how this, some of the talking points and the messages related to that. So give you last word in talking about where else they can find more about this issue.
Great. Yeah, no doubt. www.spiritsunited.org. for everybody around the country, they can use that grassroots platform to let it be known with their legislators. And as Paul mentioned, we're not breaking new territory. It's actually 29 states allow the sale and access to spirits-based RTDs. And to incentivize my fellow Texans, just in the last year and a half, the great state of Vermont and Michigan moved and passed legislation to expand the outlets to convenience stores. And, Texas is all about being a free market state. And this is just a great opportunity. And again, look, on behalf of the Distilled Spirits Council, I just want to say thank you to convenience stores all around the country, because they are on the front lines preventing underage drinking and, guiding responsibility when it comes to beverage alcohol. And I can't thank our folks in the convenience store community all around the country and in Texas, because that is a critical component of it. Our competitors might suggest otherwise, that this legislation could prompt negative things. And again, it's good public policy, low spirits-based ABV alcohol beverage by volume. And we just want to drive more traffic in Texas convenience stores and other convenience stores across the country.
Well said, Chris. And Paul and Chris, thank you for joining us today. And thank you all for listening to Convenience Matters.
Convenience Matters is brought to you by NACS and produced in partnership with Human Factor. For more information, visit convenience.org.